um, on how do you now manage branding your business with the current pandemic that we are experiencing. So the speaker for today, our guest speaker is Mpho Hlefana. I'm just going to share some of her amazing achievements and accomplishments. Mpho Hlefana is a seasoned strategic marketing professional who works with organizations to help them meet their objectives through integrated marketing and communication strategies. So Mpho believes that any organization, no matter how big or small, has that potential to effectively reach its audience through a very well thought out marketing initiative. And so she currently works for VCX, which is a part of the Telkom group. And she is the current senior marketing manager there and has worked for very well-known global organizations such as Dimension Data, MTN, and Accenture. So we are in very good company today. And in her spare time, Mpho runs a small marketing consultancy which aims to help small and micro enterprises to position themselves as forces to be reckoned with in the market. And she also holds a master's degree in business management, specializing in marketing from the University of Johannesburg. Welcome, Mpho, and the floor is yours. Hi, Mpho, we can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm having a little bit of connectivity issues, so I'm just moving around a bit and just trying to get good connectivity. But Hlefana, thank you so much for the invitation to speak today. I'm going to keep the presentation quite short because I'd like it to be more of a discussion as opposed to me dictating what each of you should be doing for your brands. And I hope some of the things that I'll be discussing today will be of value to you, especially since most of you are entrepreneurs. So I'm going to share my screen and you'll let me know if you can see it. Fantastic. So the topic is, how to enable your brand to fit as today's topic. So I had a client of mine to me at the beginning of the lockdown. Essentially, they would not be able to work with me any longer because they're afraid that during the lockdown and because of the pandemic, their business was not going to make any money. This primarily being because they are in the field of recruiting human capital. And my only response to them was, I completely understand from a financial point of view that you wouldn't be able to possibly afford, continuing with marketing services. However, please do not kill your brand. And the reason I say this is because there are great opportunities that have been presented by the COVID-19 pandemic. And, a lot of companies at this stage are in doubt as to where their future is. But however, this is an opportunity for many organizations to prove how agile they are in addressing their customer needs, number one, and also going, for instance, online with their business as opposed to their traditional model of trading and doing marketing. So I think it's also an opportunity for many of us as business owners, as entrepreneurs, to show the market how we can quickly adapt to market conditions, and also giving us the opportunity to think outside of the box and think about how we can do things differently to what we've been doing traditionally. And that will, in essence, give you the beginning of what I'm going to talk about today. So the first thing is essentially that this provides an opportunity for your business to go digital. So If you're not already present on social media channels or you don't have a website, this is the perfect opportunity to test that. And with that being said, you need to make sure that your brand has an online presence. A lot of people are sitting at home, they've got time to go on the internet, check out websites, and they are looking for a wealth of information at this point. And if your brand is not on a digital platform, you're going to miss the opportunity that this presents. You also need to have a look at how, if your business, for instance, is a traditional trading business, or you're traditionally in property and you haven't had a digital presence, what are some of the services that you can provide online? So I'll give you an example. Triumphant is now doing this online webinar series. It's giving her an opportunity to connect with different people, and she's able to tell people about how her particular business can thrive through this COVID-19 pandemic. I think with that being said, one of the things that you can look at is working with somebody who's well versed in digital marketing to help you put together a strategy for your particular business. They can also help you, talk about things like a website. There are free templates, free sites that host your website, such as Wix.com, where you can essentially build a website yourself at a really affordable cost. And it really gives you a lot of guidance in terms of what will give you and your clients the best user experience for that particular platform. We also need to explore, e-commerce platforms that are available to us. And this will allow you to essentially trade and make payments or receive payments online. That's something you need to consider because of the fact that we're no longer, because of COVID-19, able to have person-to-person contact. I think brands that have done a good job of taking their traditional model and going online are the likes of Virgin Active, who've essentially taken the model of having to go to gym by providing online workouts that people can use by subscribing to their app. And I think that's a great example for us to have a look at. I think off the back of, going digital, you also need to make sure that you offer and continue to offer a good customer experience and a good user experience. So in many cases, because of what we're going through COVID-19, people are using the pandemic as an excuse not to continue to give customer experience. And the reason I say that is because a lot of brands who've just gone online for the sake of going online with no digital strategy and not bearing the customer in mind have absolutely failed. So it's quite important that in putting together your website, in communicating through your digital platforms, that people are still seeing you as a really professional brand, and that you're essentially, all of your platforms are catering to your customers' needs and not necessarily your own needs. I think another important consideration is really to be authentic, to be human, and to be in touch with what's happening with society relative to the COVID-19 pandemic. I think, people are in a space where they are hungry to be connected, but they want to be connected with brands that are, seen to be knowing what's going on in terms of all of the announcements that the president is making. What do the lockdown restrictions mean for your particular business? And consumers are looking for brands that are able to take that information and digest it into something that is relevant for their particular brand. And I think we also need to show as brands that we're sensitive to what's going on in our country. People are unable to work, people's jobs are on the line. So you cannot look at, you cannot come across as a brand who's only worried about making money in this particular time, but how do some of the service offerings that you provide, contribute towards the greater good of the country. And I think it's also important to show, that you have an understanding of the impact of the pandemic on your particular industry, and those that your particular brand is associated with. For instance, there's been a requirement for masks. At some stage we had a shortage because traditional suppliers were the only people providing masks. But, clothing brands have gone ahead and created cloth masks, which are now essentially going to become a compulsory part of us socializing to some degree with people out there. So my recommendation in this sense would be to keep abreast of what's going on in South Africa with regard to the pandemic, and also have an idea of how that impacts your particular brand, and communicate to your client base or your prospective customers on what the implications of this lockdown and of the pandemic have on your particular industry and the products and services that you will provide. And essentially, I think once people see that, you know, you're vested in what's happening in the country, you have a keen understanding of what's happening with your particular industry and how you can help, people will definitely want to continue to do business with you. I think the last one being do good. So I think we're all aware that a lot of people are struggling as a result of the pandemic. Large enterprises have ceased operations as a result of the lockdown and the pandemic as well. And a lot of people, as a result, are moving into the poverty stream. And I think it's really an opportunity for your brand to show how you can contribute to the good of society. An example of a brand that's doing this really well is it's a kids clothing brand where they've actually decided to continue to trade online. They've offered a 30% discount on all of their merchandise in store, and a good chunk of the money that's received from those sales will be used to essentially pay the people that work in their stores while this lockdown is happening. So, and also, I mean, in doing good, you know, the president has mentioned that we need to limit social contact. So brands like Pick n Pay, Woolies are now enabling you to shop online. And instead of putting you at risk of shopping in a bigger mall or coming into contact with someone who has COVID-19, you can either do your shopping online and go and click and collect at the store in a particular place without having to mill around the store, or they can arrange a home delivery for you. So I think what's important is to showcase that your brand recognizes the need in the country, and you need to, in somehow or some way, offer some sort of service that's going to either do good for your particular employees or do good for the greater good of society. Said, you know, brands hearing all of this are going to panic because you've either just started your company, you don't have a digital strategy in place, you know, you think your product can't be sold on an online platform. I think there's no need to panic. There are a lot of brand and marketing professionals that are working online. You know, they are also giving of their services to ensure that, you know, brands do not suffer, people do not suffer, and that South African businesses continue to thrive despite the pandemic that we're facing. So there are a lot of places where you can go and consume information relative to some of the things that I've mentioned today. You know, there are sources like LinkedIn where people are posting a lot of articles about how the pandemic affects different industries and what you can do to counter the effects. There are a lot of marketing companies that are giving tips and tricks on how to survive the pandemic. They're giving some information on how to put together a digital strategy. And also, I encourage you to continue to attend webinars such as the one today to equip yourself, you know, from seasoned industry professionals, from marketing professionals, on some of the things you can do to survive the pandemic. And I think lastly would be to continue to connect on business platforms with different people who can assist you in terms of your brand and digital strategy. So with that, I'm going to open up the floor to any questions or topics of discussion related to not killing your brand during the pandemic.
Great. Thank you so much, Mpho. That was so nice and to the point, very, very informative. I can definitely take advice there on the LinkedIn, where I'll be now sharing a bit more articles and also posting more articles on my website, and definitely a YouTube channel should fall in there as well. So it's time for questions. If anyone has a question, you can just raise your hand. or you could also just type there into the chat so that Mpho can assist with some of your questions.
I don't know where my hand. Can I talk though?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, Refilwe.
Okay. As I'm in business of interior designs and decor, as well as continue trading or do it online, because I need to be face to face with my clients, see their properties and see how I can make changes in their space. How do you advise to now, you know, meet my clients' needs, you know, for me to help them? How would you advise me to go on?
So I think the first thing, Refile, is I'm sure you've captured some of the interior designs that you've already done. Showcasing some of those designs online would be a good start. I think another one that something else that you could consider is doing online consultations, which I've seen a lot of American design agencies are doing at the moment because of the lockdown. So what they've essentially done is you'll engage in a platform like Zoom that we're on today. You'll engage in a video chat and they'll actually switch the video so that they can have a 360 view of the space that they would like redesigned. And you can essentially try through digital platform to sort of do mock-ups, etc. And you can have that conversation through digital platforms and video. I also think another good platform would be something like Instagram, where you can share some insights, some bright ideas on what other interior designers are doing that you think are pretty cool or people would find interesting. So just so that, you know, they can consume information about interior design. I know a lot of people are looking at how they can transform and create a home office given the lockdown. So, you know, what are your views as an interior designer on what people can do to transform their space and create a home office given the limitations that we have as with this pandemic? So it's really about maybe not being able to trade in a physical space, but look at how you can take your business and engage through platforms like Zoom and Instagram.
Thank you very much, Mpho. Any other questions? Just let us know. Yes, Mabs, I see you. Go ahead. Sorry, unmute yourself. Hi, Mabs, we can't hear you.
I think we've lost Mabs.
I think it's the earphones, Mabs. Maybe the earphones don't have audio. Just unplug them.
You hear now?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, guys.
No worries.
I'm trying. Look, I'll just type it then.
We can actually hear you.
We can hear you now.
Is it clear?
Yes.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, Mabs, we can hear you. Go ahead.
No.
Okay, while Mabs is still sorting the sound, I see there's a hand there from Keke. Keke, you can go ahead with your question.
Hi. More for me, I think it's obviously we have a services and a product business. It's a dual business where we actually manufacture cosmetics, but we also provide treatments in a clinic session. So what we do is we run a hair clinic. Now, the challenge I have is, yes, we need to probably look at a digital strategy, but the challenge is it's the equipment we use in the clinic that even if I tried to allow people to do these treatments for themselves, it would be very difficult because the cost factor, one of the equipments costs 5,000 Rand. So to actually say to people, you can't get this treatment because you now need to buy yourself this equipment, which is worth 5,000 Rand, makes it very prohibitive. So I'm trying to understand what are the other ways that one can try and mitigate not having to close down that business, because the reality of the situation is salon or clinics or spa businesses, I really contact businesses, and without access to our clients, we really are looking at shutting down, and I'm not sure what's the best way to go around this. We are trying to do videos to teach people how to do basic maintenance at home, but at some point they're going to need to come into a clinic to actually do their diagnostics, to do their dermabrasion treatments, etc., etc. So I'm not sure how one looks at a digital strategy under those circumstances.
All right. Keke, I think that's quite a tough one. We do recognize, a lot of the salons and medically based treatment centers are struggling quite a bit. What I've seen a number of other brands do in your situation, they've created products that they can sell as part of essential services number one, just to sort of help clients maintain their skin, in the absence of having your professional treatments. Another thing that some other beauty brands are doing as well is, sending their clients or prospects an online survey, and they can give them a customized treatment program that is two-phased. So one being, here are some of the symptoms or etc. that you have. During COVID-19, you can use some of the natural ingredients, etc., in your home or that you can buy from a store. And to amplify that particular home treatment, once the COVID-19 lockdown is over, we recommend that you come in store for this particular treatment that you can give you. And a lot of people are also looking at how they can give discounts. So essentially some sort of a discount voucher, etc., if you buy a treatment now, and you'll essentially cash it in when the lockdown is over. So you can have a look at some incentives like that. Others are using a raffle system where, you sort of pay $100 for a raffle ticket and you can win something up to the value of 5,000 Rand. So it's really looking at creative ways around how you can amplify your business from just its traditional in-clinic treatment. I think you must also continue with your videos. A lot of people are looking for content. And I think if you continue to position yourself as somebody who's looking to help others without getting monetary gain as such immediately, and positioning yourself as a thought leader in your particular industry, I think people will not forget you once the COVID-19 lockdown is over.
Yes, that's really a
Thank
great
you.
answer. Yes, thank you, Mpho, for that. Any other questions?
I think there's one from Mubs. She says, Mpho, we have current affairs show concept that will look at gender relations or battle of the sexes that will be broadcast online. My question is, how would you get this kind of content commissioned, or who would you pay in such a light of traditional media platforms? I think, I think don't look to wait for somebody you can pay. There are online platforms such as YouTube, etc., that you can have a look at to put your content. I think what you'll need to consider, though, is some of the sensitivities around your content. Perhaps you can also put your content on your own website and ask people to complete a form where they can fill in their age, etc. if the content is age restricted, and people can essentially opt in to watching your content or having the conversation. And you can essentially amplify, some of your topics in a really sensitive way on platforms, such as Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, just to drive the conversation and gauge what the interest is in the market. And essentially, once people have shown interest on those social media platform, you can invite them to your Zoom platform or on your website, essentially. I hope that answers you, ma'ams.
Thank you for that. Are there any other questions? I know that hello.
I think if there are any more questions that do arise post this session, you are welcome to. Okay, I don't know if there are any more questions.
Hi, sorry, I got disconnected there. I'm just going to share your details. Okay, there's another question here from Gabby. Thank you, Mpho. Cindine here from La Lucia Mall. What are your top tips for a shopping center to encourage spend at the mall whilst at the same time minimizing foot traffic due to the social distancing regulations, etc.? Thank you.
So I think the reality, unfortunately, Gabby, is you will not be able to trade in a mall for quite a while, as it does count as a social gathering. I think you must have a look at how you can position your stuff online. A lot of people are now selling clothes through Instagram. They're getting people to buy clothes and then giving them the notion that their clothes will be delivered after the lockdown. Also, if you're able to give some sort of incentive to encourage people to buy now, pay now and receive the clothes at a later stage, I do encourage you to do so. So a lot of the clothing retailers are offering sales, they're offering bulk deals, etc., to encourage people to trade online through e-commerce platforms in the meantime, while we're all not able to go to malls.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much. Is there any more questions? I've just shared Mpho's email address there for anyone who's interested to continue this discussion offline with her, to get any more advice or any assistance in terms of your digital. How do you get your business, to go digital if you're not yet digital? And if you are already digital, how do you now optimize your different digital platforms? And she'll be able to assist you, and from there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Hlefana.
Is there anything else that anyone would like to say? Any comment? Anything else that you'd like to share? Perhaps not a question. Any feedback?
I'm not sure if you can hear me. I just team to you, Hlefana, for thanks for the opportunity firstly. And then please, I think Hlefana's question around interior design and the fact that there are opportunities in our home, office space. It can possibly utilize its network expertise and create a network of customers, if you will, this.
Hi, Mabs. We cannot hear you. I'm not sure if the others can hear you. I'm not sure if the others can. Can you hear? or rather type, please.
Okay.
Are there any other comments, any feedback, if there's nothing else, I'm going to ask Mpho for her last words, and then we're going to end the session. And I'd like to thank Mpho. Thank you so much for giving us your time and your experience and your expertise. I really got a lot out of this session. I'm very grateful for this session that we've had. And I also want to thank everyone who has also given their time to attend and to really empower ourselves to understand the times that we're in and how are we going to maneuver around these times. I'm very positive, as to the future and what it has to hold. I think that part of the reason we started this webinar is also to just make sure that we stay connected, just like Mpho was saying, stay connected and engaged and attend webinars and really keep ourselves informed as to how we can collaborate and find synergies along the way. So thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Mpho?
Thank you.
Last words.
Awesome. Thanks, Trifina. I think it's so good to see how many people are on this call and already making that first step towards, educating themselves and getting as much information as possible. And I really do have the hope that all of your brands will survive this particular pandemic. And as Trifina said, do not be afraid to reach out. There's somebody always willing to lend a helping hand. And essentially, it's for the greater good of South Africa that your brands stay relevant and in business. So all the best, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone. I see Mabes is asking for Refilo's contact details. Perhaps let me just type down Refilo's contact if Refilo has already left the meeting, and then you can engage with one another. But other than that, bye-bye, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.